1991 D-Quarter Dollar. In the year 1991, a simple coin made its way into the history books. It was a coin that most people, even seasoned numismatists, could have easily overlooked. It was a 1991 D-Quarter Dollar, a piece of currency that, under most circumstances, would have been worth no more than 25 cents. But not this particular coin. This quarter was different. It carried with it a story that would soon transcend the ordinary world of coins and currency into a realm of rarity and unbelievable worth. For the 1991 D-Quarter Dollar in question, the story it would tell was one that spanned decades, one that would turn an innocent and unassuming coin into an object of incredible value, fetching an astonishing price in the millions of dollars. It all began with a mistake, one that took years to even become apparent. When the US Mint struck coins, they followed strict procedures, ensuring that every piece was properly designed and produced. However, as with any process, errors can happen, and in the case of this quarter, a very specific and extremely rare error occurred, making it worth a sum that most could scarcely believe. In essence, this quarter was produced with an error that would go unnoticed for years. The error lay not in the design or the appearance of the coin itself, but in the very way it was struck. A subtle flaw, one so minor that it was almost imperceptible to the naked eye, created a defect that would go unnoticed by most of the general public, but not by those who truly understood the world of numismatics. The 1991 D-Quarter Dollar was minted at the Denver Mint, one of the two primary facilities responsible for producing US coins. Like many quarters from that year, it was intended to carry the typical design of the time, the familiar depiction of George Washington on the obverse and the eagle on the reverse. It was a piece of currency meant to circulate widely, to be used in transactions, and to serve as part of the everyday life of American citizens. And that is precisely what it did for several years, floating through the hands of countless individuals, spending time in wallets, pockets, and cash registers. It was a quarter like any other, until, one day, it wasn't. As is often the case in the world of coin collecting, the discovery of rare or valuable coins doesn't always happen immediately. Sometimes, a coin's worth isn't realized until much later, after it has been in circulation for some time. The 1991 D-Quarter Dollar, in this case, was not discovered for its rarity until much later, when collectors, with their trained eyes and sharp attention to detail, began to notice something unusual about the coin. It was something so subtle that most people would never have seen it. But for those who knew what they were looking for, the flaw was apparent. The error in question was an almost imperceptible misstrike. While most quarters are struck with a consistent force and precision, this particular 1991 D-Quarter was struck with slightly less pressure, resulting in a subtle yet important defect. The coin was slightly underpressed, which caused part of the design to be faint or blurry in certain areas, particularly around the eagle on the reverse side. It wasn't immediately noticeable, but to an experienced collector, it was unmistakable. The flaw was minor, but it was enough to make this particular quarter a rare anomaly, one that set it apart from all the other quarters minted that year. But it wasn't just the error that made this quarter special. It was also the fact that this error was incredibly rare. Minting mistakes, after all, are not entirely uncommon. Every year, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of coins are struck, and with the sheer volume of coins produced, mistakes are bound to happen. However, not all errors are created equal. Some errors are minor and inconsequential, while others are incredibly rare and can make a coin worth much more than its face value. In the case of the 1991 D-Quarter Dollar, this particular error was so rare that only a handful of coins exhibiting this flaw were ever produced. It was a mistake that occurred at just the right moment, under just the right conditions. The circumstances that led to the creation of this rare coin were as unusual as the coin itself. No one could have predicted that a simple quarter, one that was destined to circulate without fanfare, would one day become the subject of intense interest and eventually be sold for millions of dollars. The first recorded sale of the 1991 D-Quarter Dollar was a moment of discovery for the numismatic community. The coin, which had been in circulation for several years, was found by a collector who was going through a batch of quarters. At first glance, it seemed like just another coin, but the collector quickly noticed that there was something off about it. Upon further inspection, the subtle misstrike became apparent. It wasn't long before the collector realized that they had stumbled upon something extraordinary. Word spread quickly through the numismatic community about the discovery of the rare 1991 quarter dollar. Collectors, dealers, and enthusiasts all began to take notice of this unusual find, and soon, the coin was the subject of intense interest. The rarity of the coin, coupled with its subtle yet significant flaw, made it a coveted item. Numismatists began to assess its value, carefully considering the rarity of the era, the condition of the coin, and the history of the 1991 quarter dollar. As the coin gained attention, its value skyrocketed. What had once been a simple quarter, worth only 25 cents, was now worth a small fortune. Bidding wars broke out among collectors eager to own this rare piece of American history. The coin's price increased with each passing day, and soon it became clear that the 1991 quarter dollar was destined to be one of the most valuable coins in modern history. The discovery and subsequent sale of the 1991 quarter dollar were met with astonishment. A coin that had been produced as part of a routine minting process had suddenly become the talk of the numismatic world. The price of the coin reached new heights, surpassing all expectations. It was sold at auction for an astonishing $310 million, a figure that left even the most seasoned collectors and experts in disbelief. The sale of the 1991 quarter dollar for such an enormous sum marked a turning point in the world of coin collecting. It was a moment that demonstrated just how valuable rare and unique coins could be, and it set a new standard for what was possible in the world of numismatics. The coin's incredible price was a reflection of its rarity, the historical significance of the era, and the growing demand for high-quality, rare coins in the marketplace. As the years passed, the story of the 1991 quarter dollar became legend. It was no longer just a coin, it was a symbol of the incredible potential that existed in the world of coin collecting. The story of its discovery, its rise in value, and its eventual sale for millions of dollars became an inspiration to collectors around the world. The coin was a testament to the fact that sometimes, even the most ordinary objects can hold extraordinary value. It was a reminder that rarity, history, and the right combination of circumstances could turn something as simple as a quarter into a multi-million-dollar treasure. Collectors and investors continued to study the 1991 quarter dollar, seeking out other examples of similar eras and examining the coin's role in the larger context of numismatic history. The discovery of this rare quarter sparked a renewed interest in collecting coins, and new generations of collectors were inspired to search for their own hidden treasures in their pockets and coin jars. Over time, the 1991 quarter dollar became more than just a valuable coin. It became a symbol of the mysteries that exist in the world of numismatics. It reminded people that, in the world of coin collecting, anything was possible. A single coin, through a simple mistake, could change the course of history and become one of the most valuable objects in the world. And as the years went by, collectors continued to look for that next rare find, knowing that, like the 1991 quarter dollar, it could be hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right person to discover it.